right now their stats are just ridiculous. Maybe. But I'd say it's ridiculous that the weapon strength is still higher for bears, okay? Because 23.
Yeah, 23. Yeah. It'd be 133.
The melee attack is still higher, and like the HP pool is the same. So I don't know, just a little torture, I guess. Whatever.
That is a clean sweep.
Are you happy?
I'm happy. Oh my lord, Gorgers,
No,
give them some food.
I'm not happy. That was pain.
That is painful.
Not my bears. Alright.
So Warhammer 3 is less than a day away from launch, and I'm sure many of you are excited to get your hands on the game for the first time. I think you'll enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. Yet there are some clear-cut balance issues and what the F moments in campaign and multiplayer, and there are plenty to go around. Not exactly shocking in a game this big, with this many moving parts. Some things were going to fly under the radar, but some of them are a bit hilarious and leave you shaking your head, wondering how they got past QA, or hell, is there QA, right? Like, I don't know. Sometimes this stuff blows my mind. You've already seen some really strong units in action, like Ogre Iron Blasters that can dominate a battlefield. I haven't really called for anything to happen with them. They're strong. I like having strong units on a roster. Cool. Great. But a unit that might not pack that same visual punch, yet is legitimately overpowered at the moment, comes in a cannibalistic form most foul. The Gorgers, the feral, degenerate offspring of the Great Maw. And they are comical right now. They are going to be the core of so many Ogre armies. Monstrous infantry, for pretty much the entire life cycle of the Warhammer series, has been designed so as to not trade cost effectively with other units in a straight up fight, generally speaking. If you run, say, Stone Trolls or Crypt Horrors or Ushabti into enemy melee infantry, you won't necessarily do badly there, but you may not love their performance in that capacity. However, what Monstrous infantry lacks in raw stats, they make up for in their additional mass, speed, and armor piercing they provide, granting additional bonuses like in situations where you have extra chunkiness to surround a dragon and prevent its escape. And of course, they tend to perform quite well when cheap fodder infantry is out in front of them. Mix them up with some foot troops, and both units, both the infantry and the monstrous infantry, will be much more effective. They will cover each other's weaknesses. Gorgers completely break that mold, both because of their general stat line and attributes, and because of the additional utility they provide at a price point that, frankly, does not do a good job reflecting their power. So if we look at their stats here, they have 52 melee attack and 110 weapon strength when Frenzy is active, with about a 70-30 AP split. Frenzy is always active. They are unbreakable. They cannot lose leadership. So 20 bonus versus infantry, stock, vanguard, 54 speed, unbreakable. Unbreakable is the big trait here. It's actually very rare for monstrous infantry to even have good leadership. You see it with Stone Trolls all the time, see it with Ushabti, see it with all kinds of monstrous infantry. Most of them rout or crumble fairly easily. Not the case with Gorgers. They're unbreakable. That perfectly fits with their lore and with their army book stats, so not a problem there at all. But they've clearly got some major advantages over other Ogre units because you won't see them until they're right up in front of you, so it's hard to shoot them. They're meant to be ambushers with powerful attack stats used to mulch infantry. The weird thing is, they don't just beat infantry, they beat anti-large monstrous cav that has better stats than them. Units that are designed to hard counter them. And they beat elite halberds from the front that are abusing bugs themselves, and that's where things get really weird. So in this first example, Gorgers and Celestial Dragon Guard with halberds cost the same. They both cost 1100 gold. Celestial Dragon Guard have 20 bonus versus large. They're an elite halberd unit. They should stomp monstrous infantry in their price range. That's literally what they're meant for, why they exist as a unit. Let's see what happens. Now you'll notice two things wrong with this engagement. Number one, Anticity has already shown us that charge reflection is bugged currently, and it is better to countercharge with halberds than it is to brace with them, which is just wrong. It's similar to the bug we had near the end of Warhammer 2's lifecycle that CA eventually fixed, where infantry would always just countercharge cav because they deal way more damage that way. We already know that is not intended behavior, and presumably this will be fixed. But the other thing that's happening here is that Gorgers are absolutely smashing a frontal engagement against elite halberds, without any support from Noblars or Skrag whatsoever. I mean, braced or unbraced here, it does not matter. It is a clean sweep for the Gorgers. Part of that is because Celestial Dragon Guard halberds suck ass in general. They're bad, and didn't have Harmony activated either, but even with that extra melee defense and leadership, they would be dead here. They are not going to win. And in a normal game, there would be Noblars out front, and that fight would go comically bad for Cathay. So, let's see what happens when they face down elite monstrous cavalry that costs 45% more than them. I think we can all agree right now, Warbear Riders should absolutely stomp this fight, right? They cost 1,600 gold, have 23 bonus force large, better attack, better defense, more armor, more speed, and are meant to kill enemy monsters. While Gorgers are an anti-infantry unit with a bonus versus infantry that is entirely wasted in this fight. And yet when we look at how this engagement goes when they charge each other frontally, it's an even trade, which means it's a massive win for the Ogres because they're investing 500 gold less. And again, I cannot stress this enough, a halfway decent player is never going to let Bear Cav charge their Gorgers for free in the first place. So in a perfect scenario for them, Bear Cav barely win the engagement, but massively lose the trade. Okay, so here's where things get really wild. You'll know about Skrag the Slaughterer and his Cauldron of the Great Maw, right? Super cool global item that grants regen and weapon damage to Gorgers the more Skrag kills. So the more the Prophet slaughters, the better his Gorgers get. Awesome. At 100% intensity, his Gorgers will receive 0.2% regen per second, which equates to 16 health per second, which I believe is double that of the standard 8 HP per second we had in Warhammer 2. To make that a little bit more clear, 30 seconds in, they get 500 HP, in 1 minute, 1000 HP, which is about an eighth of their total health pool. So if they were to run around and lose no bottles and somehow go down to 1 health, it would take 8 minutes for them to fully regen. Okay, that's not going to happen, but you get a better picture of it now. It's a good heal. It makes a difference in combat. It keeps them more survivable, keeps them healthier. It won't outburst heal whatever damage is going their way, but it can save their lives in plenty of circumstances. But they also get 20% extra AP and base weapon damage too from that Cauldron of the Great Maw, and that kicks them from 110 weapon damage to 130. Now let's see how they do against Warbears when they have Skrag's full buffs. They charge in, trade evenly, which remember means the bears are already losing if it's an even trade, and then once the Unbreakable passive kicks in, the Warriors of Ursun give it a hell of a fight, do what they can for the next 30 seconds, but ultimately crumble and run once the ability wears off. And Gorgers, an anti-infantry unit, end up defeating elite 1,600 gold bonus versus large monstrous cav that costs 500 gold more than them, that's born and bred to counter them. And let me make it clear here, Bear Riders are not a bad unit at all. They are good at what they do. They are solid at their price point. So that's crazy in and of itself. With a 200 gold item and some kills on Skrag, which by the way, he's a good lord with heals, a solid lore of magic, and support abilities on a roster without much in the way of lord choice anyway, you get units that dumpster halberd-wielding elites frontally, all while not getting shot and having the additional utility from Vanguard for some of those sneaky ambush plays. Alright, so they beat Bear Riders if they have Skrag buffs. Let's try out Skullcrushers now. And to prove the point, we'll let Iron Guts take the lead on this one, because this is what you would expect from a 1000 gold monstrous infantry unit against one of the premier monstrous cav choices in the game. Iron Guts make more sense as an anti-cav specialist, right? They have a ton of AP, they have high weapon strength, they have high armor, they should be more survivable in this kind of fight. Iron Guts are a balanced unit. They cost 800 gold less than Skullcrushers. They get some solid AP damage in this fight, but ultimately lose to a unit that they should lose to, because they have worse stats across the board. I mean, Skullcrushers have 115 more armor than Gorgers, the same melee attack, way better charge, 12 more defense, and most importantly, double the model count, which helps them surround and kill off models quicker. In these type of fights, frontally, 1v1, mano-a-mano, having a higher model count is generally better. Skullcrushers are kind of in that sweet spot of having high HP and stats per model without it being easy for them to bleed models, if that makes sense. But across the board, with Skrag's Cauldron of the Great Maw buffs active, Gorgers defeat Skullcrushers frontally. And if those buffs were not active, the Skullcrushers would win, but barely, to a unit that costs 700 gold less than them. So it's clear at this point, Gorgers are overperforming against Monstrous Cav, even elite top tier, best of the best Monstrous Cav, that even their baseline unit with no support whatsoever outtrades much more expensive and elite units frontally. And the core of it is that Frenzy and Unbreakable combo, which they never lose because their morale never wavers. So they will take much better units past the breaking point and continue fighting into those deep waters where even super elite leadership troops typically will not go. Combine that with the crazy weapon strength stats, and we've got a crazy unit overall. Just to drive the picture home even further, without any of Skrag's buffs, they will dumpster dual weapon Khorne minotaurs who cost 400 gold more than them. Again, remember, these are both monstrous infantry that fulfill the exact same role. They are designed to kill infantry, and minotaurs that cost 400 gold more than them get destroyed in a 1v1. Those poor guys get screwed because Blood Greed ends up not giving them any stat bonuses in this fight whatsoever. A clear sign, actually, that Frenzy is just a better ability overall because it procs immediately at the start of a battle rather than ramping up intensity with each new kill. And because the Minotaurs only kill like 4 or 5 Gorgers in this fight, they don't get any stat bonuses whatsoever. Their base 36 melee attack here sucks, they get killed off, and they run away like cowards. Naturally, the Great Weapon Minotaurs do better here, and with their 28 bonus versus large, they are able to win, but as is the common theme across all these tests, they're 1700 gold, and they barely squeak by, in a test without any Nobblars to block charges. You'd really want your Minotaurs to be at half HP or more with most of their models remaining after a fight like this one. It should really be one-sided, because they're a tier above with almost 30 bonus versus large, but instead, they're going to rout in their next fight and are hanging on for dear life after a scrap with Gorgers. They will lose if Gorgers have their Cauldron of the Great Maw buffs active, and it's not particularly hard to get those buffs. Gorger performance is going to be even better in real battles because they'll have 200 gold Nobblars and 500 gold Sabertuss, which are 2 more bonkers units for their price, screening for them. They won't be taking frontal charges from 70 charge bonus Cav in real battles, so that Unbreakable trait has a chance to go even further. Now, one interesting thing to note here is that Khorne halberds actually perform much better than Celestial Dragon Guard, in part because they're just a way better unit at a much more cost-efficient price as well. They cost 250 gold less, but a big part of it too is the extra models they have, so they get more attacks on target. Again, the bugged countercharge bursts down a huge chunk of health on the Gorgers immediately, and they cruise to a relatively convincing win against Gorgers when countercharging. Cornate halberds are a staple of this matchup for obvious reasons. They're incredible here. Gorgers or no Gorgers, you want Cornate halberds in your army against Ogre Kingdoms. That should not come as a surprise. But even with their better performance, if they do not get their charge bonus off, they still end up losing to Gorgers. And realistically, no one is going to run their Gorgers directly into charging halberds. So yeah, Gorgers are busted at the moment and are severely overperforming in quite a wide variety of unit matchups. I have no problem with Gorgers being strong, especially when buffed by the Cauldron of the Great Maw. That's fluffy, that's thematic, that should absolutely be a thing. I love that item. I don't want anything to happen to that item. If anything, I want more abilities like it. It's super flavorful and it's super cool. But whether you're an Ogre Kingdoms fan or not, it is obvious that the 1100 gold price point of Gorgers does not match up with their performance when they're beating Bear Cav and Halberds and Skullcrushers that cost way more than them frontally. Right now, they're not even paying for the fact that they have Stalk and Vanguard. Like, all that extra utility on top of the crazy killing power is costing them nothing. So, abuse it while you can. You guys are going to have a blast with Gorgers over the next few weeks. They're going to be really strong in campaign. They're going to be really strong in multiplayer. But yeah, they are definitely busted currently and should not be beating some of the units they're beating right now. It's just not a good unit balance at all. I want to give a big shout out to Volcanos for doing some initial testing with them and getting the ball rolling on this topic. Link to his channel will be in the pinned comment and description below. and of course to the legendary Falcon as well, who helped me test them this morning. Hope you guys enjoyed, and have fun with Warhammer 3 tomorrow. I think you will have a blast. I'll see you in the next one.